best we can. Yeah.
Howdy.
I didn't realize he had it today. We're not as organized today.
Yep. Why don't you read it to me?
Yeah.
Principles come from
That looks like your best hand there.
and the sacred circle of life. We learn by knowing we are a part of nature and the cycles of life.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Again? Yeah.
My mom is
You want to
an
take it with
artist,
you?
Yeah.
And hand, she always tells me, is the hardest thing to draw. Right.
Thank you anyways. You got 2 minutes.
Good.
No hurry.
That's
I just figure if I stay there, I'll keep talking and I'll forget. So I better just get up while I think of it. Although people get quiet just when somebody stands up here.
yeah, and you have male and female next
Like,
too.
ooh, something's going to happen.
What's going to happen? Something big's got the mallet. Got the mallet. How come that looks so
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
petite or something?
Well, the
I understand.
wall is
it's hard.
rounded.
It's hard. My mom's been doing it since she was young.
No, the smile
Still,
thing,
it's
was that
challenge.
intentional? The smile logo, it looks like they made it, they changed it so it looked like
Oh.
splotchy on purpose.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
All right, now it's about time, yeah? Okay. We're good.
Yeah.
Give me your
Take
best
over
shot.
Tom up here.
Go at it.
Okay, here we go. Good morning. I'm Karen Lindebrecke, and I'm on the board of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. I welcome everyone to our service this morning, and welcome visitors to our open and inclusive community of faith. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many spiritual paths to truth and to meaning, and we support one another as we each explore these paths. I would like to especially welcome our guests and welcome again those who have visited us before. Visitors, it is the custom of our congregation to invite you to stand and give your name and where you are from if you feel comfortable in doing so. Are there any visitors who would like to introduce themselves this morning? Good morning. Well, welcome. Well, welcome. Welcome to everyone visiting us today. Please join us after the service for a coffee hour. We would love to have the chance to get to know you better. Our minister, Reverend Tom Capo, and our congregational life coordinator, Mary Law, and all of our members are eager to meet you. Please feel free to approach anyone with a green cup if you have any other questions that we might be able to answer. Our service could be heard outside the glass doors at the back of the sanctuary should anyone feel the need to leave the service for any reason. There are chairs provided for your convenience. Please refer to the inserts in the order of service for further announcements, and as we begin our service, please silence all electronic devices. Thank you.
Our principles come from the harmony of nature and the sacred circle of life. We learn by knowing we are a part of nature and the cycles of life.
Good morning. Well, I am Reverend Tom Capo. Oh, and here is, and I'm the minister here, and this is Steve Cooper, our Director of Religious Education. And we want to welcome you all on this beautiful Easter morning. Today, we will worship as a multi-generational community. So look around, see all the different generations who are here, from the young to the slightly older to the little bit older than that. Let us recognize the hearts of our whole community. Let us embody the beauty of this with all the different ages here, all this church community, even if at times there are some wiggles or giggles or chatter, and you olders got to watch that stuff. Let us remind ourselves to listen carefully and calm our minds. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you to calm your mind and breathe in a little peace and joy into this sacred space. So join me in just taking a few slow, deep breaths. Breathe in. Peace and joy spreading throughout this space. You are surrounded by love in this community, and all are welcomed here. So I ask you now if you would rise in body or spirit, and let us say together our mission statement, which is in your order of service and also up here. We gather as an inclusive community to grow in character, mind, and spirit, and to transform the world toward fairness, love, and compassion. And let us sing now. We're going to sing hymn number 346 in the gray hymnal. The words will be projected up here. Come sing a song with me. A song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
I have always associated tulips with Easter. And I have a story to share with all of you that explains why. However, it's not your typical Easter tale. This is a true story from when I was 7 years old. My dad was in the Air Force, so my family moved every 3 to 5 years. And between the ages of 4 and 9, we were stationed at Spangdahlem Air Force Base in West Germany. Our family did a lot of traveling during those years, visiting countries all over Europe. In 1973, for Easter break, we visited the Netherlands. And we saw windmills and learned that these were people's houses and people actually lived in there. And we visited the cheese market and ate some Gouda cheese and watched them bid on wheels of cheese. And there's 7-year-old Stevie with his mom in the cheese shop. We visited the tulip gardens, and Dad must have talked one of the other tourists into snapping a family photo. More tulip gardens. I have a great story about me trying to catch pigeons with that hat in front of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Ask me about it sometime. Anyway, later that day, we drove into the little town where our boarding house was. And we were surprised to find yard after yard of pitchers made out of tulips. Every house or duplex had a display or diorama in their yard made out of tulip petals. And it seemed that each family had their own homemade design. A lot were just random pictures, but some were specific to Easter. And on some stretches, each house had a picture that told part of a story. Even the house that we were staying in had a display. And after a night of sleep, we were off to our next destination, the tulip farms. We would see huge farm fields of a single color of tulips. And then right next to it, a whole field of a different color tulip. And then even more of another color. And I couldn't figure out why they would grow fields and fields of tulips. I mean, it was pretty seeing a whole field of tulips of one color and next to a field of another set of color. But then it all made sense to me when I saw them cutting the heads off the tulips and loading the petals onto boats. They were growing millions of tulips, field after field of different colors, so they can cut the heads off and sell the different colors, petals to homes so they can make their tulip petal display. Well, it all made sense to my 7-year-old brain. You know, that art drove the industry. Millions of tulips were raised each year so that Easter dioramas could be made by families and put on display for tourists to see. Right? What I didn't know is that I only had part of the story, the version that the 7-year-old saw. I didn't know that tulips can grow from seed or from bulb. And if they grow from seed, it cannot be guaranteed the purity of color or design of the flower because it may have been cross-pollinated with another color tulip. However, a bulb is an identical clone of itself. So the tulip farmers are generating tulip bulbs to sell, and they're doing this by cutting the heads off the plant so that all the sun's energy during the summer months goes into making new bulbs under the ground. Because if they were to leave the head on the flower, on the plant, all the energy would go to making the seeds. What I had not realized in my belief of why tulip farms existed was that in 1973, Easter was on April 22nd, well into the tulip blooming season. So of course some of the displays would include Easter pictures. But I think I also didn't realize that the making of dioramas was just something to do with the millions of tulip petals going to waste that were going to go to waste otherwise. So it wasn't that the dioramas drove the industry's side effect was the dioramas. So the cycle of learning and building beliefs is like a tulip that renews and matures year after year. So today, during our service, we're going to grow some tulips. And after they bloom, I'm going to have you help me create some tulip petal dioramas. You can see what they did during the first service today. We've got some new fresh ones over here, and you can help us finish up the ones over there. That'll be later on after the tulips bloom. Let us start by singing about all the colors, and Martha will help lead us.
There you go. So if you want to stand, you can stand. Get your wiggles out. Jenny Hobbs, you can wiggle all you want. Or if you want to sit, you can sit. Those of you watching us on YouTube, if you want to sing along at home, the words are going to be projected up here. And we're going to do this a cappella. So I'm going to sing the Spanish first. If you want to join along with that, boy, that'd be superb. If you don't want to, that's okay. And then we're going to sing the first two verses in English. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera. De colores es al arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors, when the sunlight shines out through a rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors, as a rainbow appears when a storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plumes and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. Woohoo!
Let's grow some tulips. So first, the gardeners buy tulip bulbs. And tulips grow from bulbs, as I explained, and gardeners can choose from a variety of tulip bulbs. And the different bulbs bloom into a rainbow of colors, from bright reds and yellows to soft pinks and deep purples. Some tulips have many colors. And gardeners will plant the tulip bulbs in the fall. First, they dig holes 6 to 10 inches deep, and then they plant the bulb with the round ends down and the pointy ends up. and they cover the bulb with the soil. After planting, gardeners water the bulbs. This gives the tulip plants a head start in putting down roots before the ground freezes. This is when the bulb gathers nourishment from its environment. What would that look like for people? How would you gather your nourishment? Well, in our faith, we have 7 principles and 6 sources. And the sources are the places our faith suggests that we look for answers to our questions. But remember that faith doesn't often give us answers to our questions. Instead, each of us needs to look for the answers that feel and sound right to us. You have to choose the answer that speaks to you. I want you to imagine a very large library, one with well-marked shelves that anyone can reach, and comfortable chairs scattered around for people to sit in, and even a small room off to one side where people can hold quiet discussions. The books of this library aren't filed by the Dewey Decimal System or the Library of Congress system. Instead, they are divided into 6 general sections. And the first of the shelves that you find are filled with diaries and journals, pictures, and videos. These are our personal experiences. And where else would you record your personal experiences but in these kinds of places? This set of shelves is unique because each person sees a different set of books and tapes. When I look, I see my diaries and journals, pictures and videos, but when you look, you see yours. And this set of shelves is always expanding and growing because every day we have new experiences to add. Now, the second shelf is a collection of biographies, autobiographies, speeches, and writings. These works reflect the words and deeds of women and men who had important things to say about the way we should treat one another. We call them prophetic. Some of these women and men are famous, like Dorothea Dix, Clara Barton, Ralph Waldo Emerson, William Ellery Channing, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Abraham Lincoln, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. Others are not famous. They live quietly and unknown, but they are making a difference. Some of these prophetic men and women are in our church, in our schools, and in our communities. Who are some of the prophetic women and men that you know? This wisdom of the world's religion fills the third set of shelves. Here you can find religious texts, like from the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita. Writings by the leaders of the world's religions and interpretations of the texts can be found here. They are grouped by religions: Islam, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Baha'ism, Sikhism, and many more. The fourth set of shelves has Jewish and Christian texts. And it may seem a little weird to have a separate form, having them separate from the world religions, but Unitarian Universalism has a direct connection to these two faiths, making it important to separate them out and give them special emphasis. Here we find the Bible, including all the parts that some groups include and others do not. There are writings of many different rabbis, monks, nuns, and saints, and other religious leaders. Science books fill a lot of the fifth shelf. Here we find the humanist manifestos and other documents written by humanists, ethical statements, and the discoveries of Galileo, Isaac Newton, Maria Mitchell, Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, Marie Curie, and others. These discoveries help us determine what is true and what is a story that helps us to understand. The last set of shelves is filled with books that teach us about the earth. We find teachings of Native American and other earth-based religions, books about nature that study the natural rhythms in our lives, and texts about the miracle of life. We might even find a new science book here covering topics of environmental science, biology, sexuality education, and other related fields. And off to one side, there's a small terrarium and an aquarium, since observation is one of the best ways to learn about nature. And I bet somewhere in there there's books about dinosaurs too. Our sources are like a library. In the text of the principles and purposes, we state that we draw from the sources, not unlike the tulip draws from the soil for nutrients and water to grow. We draw from our sources for our spiritual and ethical growth. This is why they are important to our Unitarian Universalist faith. Please stand in body or spirit. We're going to sing Spirit of Life, hymn number 123, but we're going to do it a little bit different today. Usually we sing it through once, and you're done, and you're like, I don't even remember what I said. We're going to sing it through twice so that we can repeat those thoughts, because it's a quick song. 2 times.
The tulip gardeners wait for spring. The tulip bulbs continue to slowly grow their roots during the winter. Tulips need this period of cold weather to bloom. In warm climates, tulip bulbs are chilled for several weeks before planting. In spring, the tulips sprout. The tulip bulbs sprout when weather gets warm enough for the little green parts to stick out through the soil. Green leaves emerge, pointy tips on the bulbs slowly push up through the soil. And each day, the tulip plant grows a little taller. The leaves fall away from the stem as the leaves grow up between them, and the youngest leaves unfold to reveal a green tulip bulb. We're preparing. Something is about to happen. Hush. Something is about to happen. Everything is ready. We're poised on the edge of something. The robins have returned. They sing as they build nests and begin their families. Listen. Listen, it's about to happen. The tulips beneath the ground have gathered up the moisture and nutrients and energy. They're growing. It's about to happen. In the Christian story of Palm Sunday, Jesus entered Jerusalem, a dangerous place for him. Can you feel it? Hush. Something is about to happen. In the Jewish story told this week about Passover, Moses has told Pharaoh, "Let my people go." Will he do it? Something is about to happen. The chicks in their eggs are ready to break out of their shells. Hush. Ostara is dawning in the pagan tradition. The coming of light and rebirth. The sunlight begins to last longer. Flowers and trees are budding. Something is about to happen. The sense of possibility is restored. Hush. It's about to happen. Children all over have gotten their spring jackets and bicycles. The first warm day is coming. Can you feel it coming? Plans are made. Baskets and bonnets, special foods, special decorations, all are made ready. Something is going to happen. Hush. Hush. Can you feel it? Do you know it? Deep down inside yourself, that something important is coming? This is the time to hush, to get ready, to know deep down inside that something wonderful will happen. This is a time to pay attention to all that is around you, to worship with your eyes and ears and fingertips, as everything and everyone around us prepares to get ready for life to return.
Please stand and body your spirit and join me in singing This Pretty Planet. I will sing it through once, and then all of you can join me for 2 more times. This pretty planet spinning through space.
your garden, your harbor, your holy place. Golden sun going down, gentle blue giant, spin us around all through the night, safe till the morning light. This pretty planet
spinning through space, your garden, your harbor, your holy place. Golden sun going down, gentle blue giant, spin us around all through the night, safe till the morning light. This pretty planet spinning through space, your garden, your harbor, your holy place. Golden sun going down, gentle blue giant, spin us around all through the night,
Finally, the tulips bloom. The tulip bud opens, and the flowers show off their bright colors. During the day, the bloom spreads their petals wide. At night, the flowers close their petals tightly. After blooming, the tulips store energy. Soon, the blooms begin to fade, and gardeners remove the withering blooms. The leaves continue to gather energy from the sun, and the tulip plant stores this energy in their bulbs for the next year. The tulip is one of my favorite flowers, partly because it is one of the first to make its appearance at the close of winter and the beginning of spring. I have always admired the tulip because the bulb lies buried in the cold, dark, frozen earth during the long days of winter. And then, before the earth has completely warmed up, the tulip starts coming back to life and pushing itself up through the cold, frozen earth until it is standing tall and proud in all of its bright, beautiful glory. Tulips can often be seen withstanding the cold March winds and even shouldering a blanket of snow. Because of the tulip's ability to come up from the dark, frozen earth and withstand cold temperatures, it is a symbol of hope and forgiveness and gratitude for many. The tulip says, "I may sprout early and my flowers are only around for a short time, but I can be strong. If I can overcome adversity and stand tall and proud, so can you. If I can rise against obstacles to make something beautiful, so can you. And now, so can you." I would like some help with the dioramas. So there's some that were started over here, but let's start with the fresh ones so that you have something new to play with. There are Post-it notes and baskets on the floor over there. If you take the Post-it note, give it a little crease at the top. Now it kind of has a petal look to it. And just add it to the pictures. And that one has a free-form egg, so you guys can do whatever you want with the egg. So go ahead and do that. Remember that we still have the service going on, and I'm inviting people of all ages, are young at heart, are young physically, to participate and enjoy this and help others, remind others that we are still in the service, so we want to be a little bit quiet So the offering will now be given and received.
To watch the seagulls stand around while the wind stirred the water until it made me whole again. Today I called out my mother just to tell her how I've been. If I don't, then she'll worry and want to bring me home again. But this is where I'm supposed to be, the river lapping at my feet, dressed up in my Sunday best. Thought I was too late for church again, but I found grace by the river. I found grace by the river. Oh, I'm sorry for all the ways I've sinned. Oh, forgive me. I am not the person I have been. At the edge of the water, I watch the seagulls gather round. This is where I'm supposed to be, the river lapping at my feet, dressed up in my Sunday best. Thought I was too late for church again, but I found grace by the river. I found grace by the river. This is where I'm supposed to be, the river lapping at my feet, dressed up in my Sunday best. Though I was too late for church again, but I found grace by the river. I found grace by the river. Oh, forgive me. Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to thank Joanne. She's stepping in for our music director, Bonnie. So thank you very much for helping us out today. Hello, spring. This is new for me and Martha. See, we grew up in southern Texas, and there are 5 seasons in southern Texas around the Houston area. Not so hot, hot, really extremely oppressively hot, hot and wet, hot and very, very wet. And then it starts all over again. And then we moved to the Midwest about 10 years ago, and we were enchanted by the seasons. We really were. We arrived in August, and we came from Texas where it was just so oppressively hot you couldn't go outside, to here, and then you could go outside. It was wonderful. And then fall came, and the leaves changed colors, and oh my gosh, the reds and the yellows and oranges and purples. Oh my, it was so beautiful. And the winter came with a cold and snow, unlike anything we'd ever experienced. And we were so silly about it. I mean, we'd trudge out in the snow in our hiking boots, and, we just really enjoyed shoveling snow and layering clothing. And we actually bought, scarves because we needed to buy scarves, and not just because they look good. It was a real adventure for us. And then spring came. And this phenomena happened that I've never seen before growing up in Houston. Everyone came out of their houses. It was like, winter was over and just everybody was outside. Everybody was outside their house walking or cleaning out their gardens or biking or taking down their Christmas lights or something. They were all outside. It's just nothing comparable to it from where I grew up. I mean, in Houston, we have the inside in the air conditioning when it's really hot, and and you just kind of go outside and sweat and then come back in. But here, it was incredible, and we just really enjoyed it. I mean, we got outside too. We joined everybody else. It was like a celebration, and so it makes perfect sense to me now that I'm here in the Midwest of why there are so many holidays and holy days that come this time of year. Easter for the Christians, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus after his death on the cross, and Passover is when the Jews celebrate their escape from slavery in Egypt, and Ostara, when pagans celebrate the seasons change from dark winter to brightening spring with the spring equinox, and Holi, the Hindu festival of colors, where they celebrate the victory of good over evil and the arrival of spring, the end of winter. And in Holi, they encourage people to get out, laugh, play, forgive and forget, repair broken relationships. That's what spring is supposed to be for. And many holidays and holy days are dedicated to women, to goddesses. I guess women are goddesses, right? Okay. That's my wife. Anyway, Ostara, Isis, Aphrodite, Virgin Mary. Some people believe the goddess shows herself in the blossoms, the leaves on the trees, the sprouting crops, the birth of animals. And then the agriculture. It's the agricultural cycle is when we clean up all the debris and plant. People, all of us, I think we get out and we see all this blooming and the flowers coming out, and it gives us a sense of hope, that life will continue. There's this visible sign, visible evidence that life will continue on this planet. Our lives will continue. And so it's not surprising that Earth Day is during this time, celebrating the earth we live on. And it's also April Fool's Day, a time of pranks and jokes. Did you know, for instance, that in the Catholic and Orthodox Christian Church on Easter, when it was held on April 1st, it was called Risius Paschalis. Now, what the priests would do would urge their congregations to laugh and, tell jokes in church. So in that spirit, I'm going to offer you a couple jokes. Why did the Unitarian Universalist cross the road? To support the chicken in his search for truth and meaning. How do Unitarian Universalists walk on water? She waits until winter. A little Unitarian Universalist girl is sitting on her curb and she's really sad. I mean, she's crying, and an old lady comes up to her and says, "Oh, what's going on? Are you okay?" And she says, "Oh, my kitty died, and I'm just really sad." And the older woman, she's trying to help this little girl, and she says, "I know you're sad, but right now, your kitty cat, she's with Jesus." And the little Unitarian girl kind of made a face and thought about it for a moment, and then she said, "What would Jesus want with a dead cat?" There are many ways to celebrate this time of year, with colored eggs and chocolate bunnies, with planting seeds, with getting together for brunch. There are many things that we do, and they all have meaning to us. We bring the traditions from our lives and the traditions around us. As Unitarian Universalists, as Steve was saying, we look at many different religious traditions and find our own ways of celebrating spring. So what I want to do for just a moment is I want to ask a few of you to tell me, what are some of the ways that you celebrate springtime this time of year, and why? Would anybody be willing to share? What are some of the things you all celebrate, or some of your traditions this time of year? Anybody? Okay, here's one.
We start our garden, so we're getting ready to plant seeds in the garden. Peas will be here not too soon, pretty soon.
Okay.
We eat Easter candy for an entire week leading up to Easter because it's an excuse to eat candy. And then I always make sure that I spend some time with my parents, but since they're out of state now, we'll do a video conference with them.
So get together with family. Yeah. There we go.
I annually take my trip with my friends to Walgreens the day after Easter to get really cheap candy.
All right, one more. Need one more? Okay, one in the back there. Okay.
Time to spend hours tuning up the bicycle.
Very good. So, what I would ask of you, and it's an important thing to do. Do you want to say one? Go ahead.
I love smell flowers.
Oh, go smell flowers. So, as your minister, I guess what I want to do is encourage you to think about how you celebrate spring and what that means to you. You choose certain traditions or celebrations or rituals that you like this time of year, and pick from the various world traditions and different ceremonies and traditions from your family. But don't just choose them. Choose them because they mean something to you. That's an important piece to this. I think as Unitarian Universalists, we need to think about why. Why do we have this tradition in our lives? Why is it important? I've been thinking about this a lot, and so I'm thinking about starting a new tradition this year. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose some seeds, find some seeds, and I'm going to let them represent certain things I want to do this year, some growth areas for me, some things I want to grow in myself. And then I'm going to plant the seeds. And these seeds for me, I'm thinking right now they'll represent wisdom and understanding and patience and compassion. And so as they grow in my yard, it's not a very big yard, but my yard, I'm going to reflect on those seeds from time to time. And as they grow into plants and as they bloom, I'm going to reflect on these characteristics that I'm working on in my life and see what happens. So I encourage you, think about the things that are important for you and see what happens as you make meaningful traditions in your life. Now, we're going to finish up our dioramas, which are looking beautiful, with a little music. I hope you'll go look at the dioramas that the young and young at heart have created this morning. Now, if you'll rise for the benediction to close the service, I want to share with you some words that are from a choral piece by Mendelssohn. The original text was written by a German, but they don't know who it is. It was a poet of some sort. The piece is called Remembrance. The trees are greening in the vale, the flowers bloom again, and now once more the nightingale will sing its old refrain. And who yet sings and laughs is blessed, his heart by spring is still caressed. Let us go forth from this time together today, singing, laughing, celebrating spring, and blessing ourselves with each laugh, and blessing all of those around us. Now, I encourage you to turn around and greet one another. Let's share the love of this community.
Justin.
No. I can't do it. I'm already laughing as it is. Perfect.
Thank you. Hey, Camille.
I think the kids' activity works well. That is such a great story. I didn't know that about the tulips. Exporting them.